Hello, welcome back to the Good, Bad and Stupid News. It's Thursday the 29th of August, episode 28, I think. Forgot to check. I believe it is. And obviously remember that it's on video and on podcast. So pick and choose how you want to, or don't listen to it. Don't have to. Don't have to watch, don't have to listen. But you're going to be missing out if you don't. Or actually probably not today because it's been a slow news day. Slow news day, I think, anyway, unless you want to take into account the Parliament proroguing of Parliament, because that's the big news of the papers. It was like page after page after page after page. Everyone's got their opinion on Boris Johnson coming out and proroguing Parliament. Never ever heard of the word. We're all learning as we go, aren't we? He's prorogue. It's his prerogative that he's come out and suspended Parliament, and he's asked the Queen to do whatever. It's got formalities, isn't it? The Queen's obviously said yes. Does she have a choice? He has to ask her, but she has to say yes, from what I gather. I haven't read it all, so I might be being ignorant, but I believe that the formalities that she always says yes. So he asks, she says yes, is the formality. Parliament is suspended and makes it difficult for the Remain side of stuff. So it's all cat and mouse, isn't it? It's just boring, isn't it? I mean, I'll try and avoid it really, but it is the news, so we've got to fucking talk about it. It's good in the sense that it's like a battle of wills now, and you can imagine. Obviously, this is modern times. You can imagine if this was 300, 400, 500 years ago, Oliver Cromwell times, or back in the medieval days or whatever, there'd be troops storming through buildings and fucking grabbing people out of bed, and taking them off and hanging them or killing them where they are, and the espionage and the backstabbing and the people giving informers and all this kind of stuff, and people double crossing and all that. You can imagine it's all that going on, but luckily for these, none of them are going to get actually strung up, are they? None of them. They've only got fucking face or money to lose, maybe, but not going to lose their lives over it. But it's a modern day equivalent of something like that, the battle of wills in the Parliament and stuff. And I mean, it's all got confused as to what Parliament actually stands for, isn't it? Because, as they say, democracy is at stake. But whose democracy? Because one person's democracy is another person's fucking undemocracy, isn't it? Or not undemocracy. The other person's doesn't want what that person wants, so therefore they're fighting for their version of the democracy. Fucking, it's confusing to say the least. I mean, it's tongue twisting me up right here and now. So, I'm going to move on from it very swiftly. But Boris Johnson's been called the big suspender in one of the newspapers. I don't need to name them, but they're his big supporter anyway. So, ballsy Boris, they said, has come out fighting, and he's the big suspender. But it's going to go back and forth a little while. So, if you can be bothered, it's going to be intriguing. If you can't, you might have to find something else to do with your time, because it's going to be everywhere for the next few days. Apart from that, in the news, as I said, it was a slow news day. The next big thing that's hogging the newspaper pages is Brad Pitt's sweaty armpits. So I told you that it's not very... there's a lot of fucking news about today, but three papers seem to be finding it interesting, thinking that we'd be interested in the fact that Brad Pitt sweats or has sweaty armpits. So some people might be into that. If you do, buy the paper right now. You'll get a picture in 3 different versions, in 3 different papers I've seen. The 55-year-old revealed an unsightly sweat patch when he arrived at the Venice Film Festival in Italy. Well, he's human. He sweats. He's in Italy. It's hot. Fucking hell. What are you going to do? But you can't get away from it in the newspapers. If you're going to be famous, I'm afraid we want to know every last little detail. They haven't mentioned any other sweaty parts, but might have sent things into you know, got a few people hot under the collar and under the dress. Right, 60 million pounds worth of coke was found as a yacht held off Wales. Well, that's the headline. Does that make sense? A yacht thought to be carrying cocaine worth £60 million was seized off the Welsh coast. So I'm afraid to say Wales, the party, is cancelled. Whatever was going on this weekend or for the next few months is not going to be happening if that's was coming to a place near you. Apparently it's the biggest drugs haul, well, second biggest in the area, and 750 kilograms overall. Fuck you, now the boat must have just been under the waterline. It must have been almost a submarine with 750 kilograms. Apparently they usually catch things like 10 kilograms and 20 kilograms. This one's got 750 kilograms. And the people who got caught, two British men, 41, 53, and 4 others. I don't really need to tell you how old they are, but I bet you what they were sweating more than Brad Pitt was when the police arrived. So they're going down, unfortunately. But yeah, big boat full of drugs on its way into Wales. Is Wales the party capital of the UK now, or is that the easiest way in? I want to try a different route. Where's it on to? It's probably off to the rest of the country, isn't it? So anyway, I'm going to move on from that because I've got confused about the what's it called? Sweating. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm hot. It's very hot today, unfortunately. It's been hot. It's confused me today because it was pissing down the rain yesterday. So today I went out really early this morning thinking it was going to be a cold day again, and it's fucking been sweating all day, and I've had the wrong clothes on. So there you go. That's Britain for you. English weather. So that's Brad Pitt sweating, the drug smugglers sweating, and me sweating. And probably a lot of you as well if you've been out if you've been hot where you are, because I don't know if it's meant to be it wasn't forecast to be that hot today, I don't think. So caught me by surprise. Bury FC, these people were sweating. Sweating's the theme. Bury FC were sweating until the club closed down. They were on the last legs trying to get it to stay afloat or stay in the league. Well, this happened the other day, didn't it? The Bury Football Club closed, but it's in the paper today because Phil Neville, his dad and his mum used to work at Bury FC for 27. His mum worked there for 27 years, and his dad worked there his dad worked for 27 years. His mum worked there for 31 years. Fucking hell, they're almost been as long as it must be the longest serving people there probably. But I remember seeing it the other day when the club was closing, and it was all the working class people who it's the heart of the town, isn't it? It's like the social thing is probably the main thing to do in Bury, and it's closed, and all these people were before it closed were like, you know, were shaking and crying and like, you know, hoping something would some sort of death row, waiting for a relative on death row to see whether they get a stay of execution. Unfortunately they didn't. So it's crazy that in a world of football which is full of millionaires, probably one of the players could have bought it and fucking saved it or done something or other. But unfortunately, nobody wanted to get involved. Nobody wanted to carry the can. They never use their own money, do they? They just borrow money on the back of it. So they take the money and run. And the club has hit the skids. So yeah, a lot of people was upset, unfortunately. Whereas Bolton Wanderers were saved by people coming up with money, a group consortium, one of them being who was it? Nick Mason from Pink Floyd. So the 145-year-old club was saved by a £10 million offer from Group Football Ventures and the 75-year-old drummer. So it's just random people. Well, there's a club, but random people who've got money are having to stump up to try and save what they love. But when you're in a place where people probably might not have a lot of money and can't do that, unfortunately, you've been closed down. Hopefully they come back. There must be a way. Surely they'll probably have to start in the bottom and work their way up again. But clubs have done it in the past, haven't they? So, but you know, it's just it's the way of the world. They need money. No money, no honey. Unfortunately, Dad was a guy who was protecting his family with a scythe-like tool at a mob terrorising his family, has been spared jail. So a guy was protecting his mob from a 30-strong group of kids with a what's it called, a scythe, or like a garden tool, and he kept them away or kept them at bay when they were sort of causing trouble and trying to create whatever. And then the police come, armed police, arrested him, and then he was facing what did he was facing years in prison anyway. He was facing 18 months behind bars, so a year and a half he was facing, but he was spared jail by the judge, who gave him just an 8-month suspended sentence. That's fucking too much even still, if you ask me, because he was confronted by a mob of feral youths and he was protecting them by keeping them at bay or whatever. The kids started calling him names, and basically he protected them, but after being locked up for 23 hours in a cell, he was charged with possessing a bladed article. So there you go, he's protected himself and ended up with an 8-month suspended sentence. I mean, how else are you going to, one man against fucking, he's not Bruce Lee, what's he going to do if you've got nunchaker? He's got nunchaker, he's got 30 kids, because kids, there might be kids, if you call them kids because they're 15 or 16, then you're calling them kids, but at the same time, I've seen 16-year-olds, and they can be quite big and can be intimidating. Look at Mike Tyson, he was 20 when he won the, what's he called, the world heavyweight champion of the world, knocking blokes out twice his size, so can't underestimate just calling them kids, you know. So he was surrounded and he protected himself, although I've got to say, that's him there, look, and he's, he obviously can't see this on the podcast, but imagine a guy who looks a bit moody, covered head to toe in tattoos, with a big, massive fucking machete-style knife in his hand. He don't look the part. He looks like he's, but doesn't matter. He's still protecting himself. Whether he's still 1 against 30. Again, he's not like, unless he's kung fu master, he's got to use something, isn't he? Otherwise, he's gonna cop it. You know, or you think today use, or you think to go use, maybe they're carrying the knife. So it's a shame he got a suspended sentence. The judge should have been a bit more fucking, used his head and just gone, you know, well, the situation was that he was self-defence, so we're not going to charge him. Anyway, London's gearing up to go car-free less than a month before they have a 1-day celebration of no transport in London. That'd be good. They should do that always anyway. It shouldn't just be fucking 1 day. I mean, hopefully that's a start for lots of days, but London's just smog town, isn't it? Or any city, but in London it's just, I drive and I've drove into London, and you can drive all around places, all the way around the outside, but as soon as you get in London, you can take it twice as long just to go a mile than it would to go 50 miles elsewhere. Yeah, it's horrible to drive around London, but they're doing it all around the centre. They're making it transport free. So what date is it? Sunday, 22nd of September. If you want to go up there and breathe what London air. I'm surprised these guys ain't going to be there with, you see these people who are selling air on the, I don't know who's buying it, but they're selling it, and it's like they've just got an empty glass with a number, with a thing on it saying air from Dorset or air from Bournemouth or air. So maybe on that day, people are up there and capitalising and grabbing some of the air from car-free London and selling it to whoever the fuck is stupid enough to buy it, which whoever the people who are buying it, I think it's people in China and stuff, they're taking it out and breathing it and like thinking they can smell something, but fooling their money. But yeah, there you go. You want a business idea? Go and grab some London Air on this, or sell the London Air as it is today. They can sell it to, you know, maybe still in China. That will still be classed as clean air because they've got worse. They've got worse places than we got here, haven't they? And was it Prince Andrew? Prince Andrew is in the papers as usual, and people are saying that his friends have come to his defence because of the photo that he's got with the other girl. They're saying that the photo can't be him because they're not his hands. So that's the photo. He's got his hands around the girl's waist or whatever, and they're saying that he can't remember. Saying he can't remember the photo, and people are saying that they're not his hands. So whose hands are they? Somebody got their hands around him and the girl. In that case, then Mr. Tickle needs to be pulled into the police station and questioned as well, doesn't he? Because whoever it is has got double long arms if they're doing the wrapping their arms around both of them. Either that, or he's saying that his head's been photoshopped on the photo, but it's not an incriminating photo as such. Apart from you're denying meeting the person, but you're in a photo with them. But so it's only incriminating if there's anything gone towards. Not a photo with somebody is not incriminating unless you've done something. But I don't know. They're saying it's not his hands, and he's saying it's not his hands. So they're trying to say he's been photoshopped. So watch this space on that one. Chucklevision, going from Prince Andrew to Chucklevision. Of course, that's the segue that would be most suitable. Chucklevision has been named the greatest CBBC series, British series, for more than 2 decades. Barry and Paul Elliott played the slapstick Paul and Barry Chuckle. So they beat everybody to be named the kids' best CBBC series. There you go. Chuckle Brothers. I actually never, this is like God's honest truth, I've never ever ever seen the Chuckle Brothers. I've seen them, I've seen the pictures of them. I've never actually watched the programme. I don't know if there's probably millions of us, isn't there? That's like, I don't think I stand out with that, but I've heard the old, to me, to you, to me, to you. I've done it every time. Every time somebody carries something, they do that. To me, to you. So it's popular culture. It's part of society's fabric. That line out of the Chuckle Brothers. Every single time I see somebody carrying something, or 2 people pick it up, they say that. To me, to you. But anyway, there's only a Chuckle Brother left now, so he'll get the award by himself. A vase, we're looking for this, a vase that somebody paid £1 for in a charity shop is to sell for £80,000. A vase bought for £1 in a charity shop may sell for 80 grand as it was made for a Chinese emperor. That's the Chinese decorative looking vase. I tell you what, you could buy 1 million of these Chinese looking vases and lose your money every time, because most things that came out of China they don't want back. This vase they want back, that's why it's worth the money. But it's very hard to tell with Chinese antiques and that what's good and what you got to have a fucking eye. I mean, this guy didn't know. He probably just took it along somewhere, and an expert's gone, you know what you've got there. And then that's what you do, isn't it? You just buy it and hope, but beware, because as I said, most Chinese stuff ain't worth shit. But if you do find it, you're going to be happy. Might be better than buying a lottery ticket, buying something that's got Chinese writing on it and seeing fucking if it turns into money. Experts predict life in 2069, which is, it's only 50 years away, but some of the things in here are like way above what fucking they've even started. Surely it would take longer than 50 years to build some of this shit. There's experts predict life in 2069, and they're like farms in the air, homes in the ground, earth scrapers, so skyscrapers that go down, buried into the ground. Instead of going up, they're going down. Sports facilities over different levels of those under the ground as well and over the ground. Vertical farming, so I think they're doing that in China already, but buildings that are farms going up and up and up. What else they've got? Implants will stream the internet, TV and movies directly to the brain. That's pretty much fucking the Matrix coming to town there, isn't it? You're gonna have. I mean, some people are pretty much practically doing that with soap operas, aren't they? You could literally just put a helmet on and feed fucking EastEnders and Coronation Street and Emmerdale, and the people who watch all three, they might as well just have this thing that's just, they just switch them off and just feed that into their brain, because it's like something like 3 hours a night, ain't it, between the three of them? Fucking nightmare. They must like feel like they live in Albert Square or something. Every reference must be around bloody EastEnders, because that is almost, if you're doing that 3 hours a night, you're almost, that is your full, the length of your leisure time, Monday to Friday, isn't it? Anyway, they're talking about people are going to be eating grasshopper buckets, fried grasshopper buckets instead of Kentucky buckets. That's not going to take off. People might have it for protein in some other way, but no one's going to. Worm burgers, I doubt it. No one's going to eat worm burgers, I'm sorry. If there's nothing else left to eat, maybe, but then that would be like fucking scraping the barrel, you know, when there's nothing else left. Oh, fuck it, I'll have the worm burger then, if that's all there is. And then we'll be going all the way back to fucking some pauper from the medieval days, some rags to riches, you know, rags people who have to eat shit off the, you know, shit out the ground or whatever because they can't afford the real food. Yeah, but there's loads of other things there that they're doing, subterranean gardens and whatever else. So 3D printed organs for transplant. They're already doing that kind of now, aren't they? You can print hips and hip print bones and stuff like that. So they'll be able to print hearts and other organs and stuff. So well, that'd be good. Flying taxis. Well, that can't come fucking soon enough. I told you, jetpacks. That's where we want to go with that. An American TV presenter has issued a TV presenter in America has issued a sobbing on-screen apology after telling her black co-host that he looked like a gorilla live on air. Well, fucking, there's your career-defining moment right there. She said that a picture of a gorilla that came on from Oklahoma City Zoo and said that it kind of looks like you. If you look at his face there, he is not fucking... He is not happy at all. And she proper fucking... That is a slip of the tongue that will never go away. You're going to like fucking live by that. He's accepted her apology because that was the most stupid thing you could say. You can possibly hope to be on air where the whole world would pick that up. But yeah, she obviously said it as some kind of accidental joke, but it's never going to live that one down, unfortunately. Slip of the tongue. Gone wrong. Oasis, the musical, apparently is on the way, or Noel Gallagher said that people are always asking him about doing a musical for Oasis. I don't think it would work, but it wouldn't look. It ain't glitz and glamour. I don't think it would work. It'd be good as a film or as a play or something like that. But I guess it's a musical if they're going to play the songs in it. But it'd be good as a story or whatever. But you know, I don't think it's the right thing. It's not the glitz and glamour of fucking Elton John or Queen, is it? But anyway, somebody said they're always asking about it. He said, what would the story be about? And he said about, you know, you're coming from nothing and making money, rags to riches story. To which he said, does it have to be so Dickensian? I never wore any rags, which is true, isn't it? That rags to riches story. There was you get this picture of like some fucking pauper, again eating the worm burgers, but I come from working class council estate, and I remember, although people had no money, they would fucking dress the best that they could. They'd spend the money on They spent more money on clothes than fucking rich people would probably in the attempt to look good. So it wasn't rags to riches, it was fucking really expensive clothes that you couldn't afford to riches that you'd blow all your money on and then couldn't end up sitting outside drinking White Lightning in your Stone Island coat or something or other. But yeah, you know, people were proud and they tried to dress smart, and they always had the best that the kids could have, or the best that people could buy or they could afford. Bird watchers have claimed the first confirmed sighting of a brown booby. I thought Booby was just something that John Mercury, the Jingle Jangle man from the races, used to say, but it's a brown booby. Is a bird from Mexico in the Caribbean, and it's been spotted in St Ives in Cornwall. And the bird watchers are like fucking on the phone to each other, and they're all heading down there taking they fuck about, bird watchers. They're like on the network. Was it somebody that saw there was one bird in somebody's garden, and they were all queuing up at his front door to go through and go into his back garden and take camera. It's almost like they got to do there. It's like they've got to be there. They've got to see it with their own eyes. You know, they couldn't just like say, "Send us a photo, Dave. Let's have a look at you going down there. Yeah, send us a picture over." No, they want to see it, and so the brown booby, if you're a bird watcher, do the 5-hour drive down, or 10-hour round trip drive down to Cornwall, like some of the guys are doing, and you can get your first camera shot of it. Or if you're into terrapins, cops were shell shocked when a terrapin wandered into their station. A lost terrapin has handed himself in to the police station. He's turned up at the police. Accidentally just rolled in, and he happened to be missing and lost, so they've found his have they obviously found his owners. Anybody lost a tortoise, they're saying? His little chap called it no, it's not saying if anybody's actually they're trying to trace its owner. So anybody missing a tortoise or terrapin, should I say, it's wandered into the police station. Maybe it's like fucking done a runner, so maybe it doesn't want to be found. Maybe he's like an abused terrapin, so he's done a runner, so just find him a new home. Weather's got two, right, last couple we're going to do today is the weather. Weather's far too hot to handle. I pulled this out because of the pictures. There's been somebody putting pictures together of newsreaders in America, weather readers, because they're saucy photos. And they basically have got the weather reports which are behind them when they're giving the weather talk or whatever it is that they do. They all look like dicks apparently, but phallic. The weather front is going in a dick-shaped sort of fashion, and one of them looks like he's got a dick going in his mouth, and the other one looks like he's pulling on his dick. I mean, it doesn't really, but somebody's spends a lot of time analysing these things and going, right, that looked like a dick, rewind, take a snap, let's cut it out, and then look for some more to make a news story out of this. So yeah, so the hot weather front in those 3 areas, where were they? Doesn't actually say. So there you go. Weather looks like a dick in some of the parts of the world. Last couple, M&S, speaking of dicks, M&S is changing the name of its porn star martini drink following complaints that it would open the floodgates to other suggestively titled cocktails. That's just fucking ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, the thing is called, it's a porn star cocktail, same as Harvey Wallbanger or bloody whatever. They've all got the names, haven't they? It is what it is, and the retailer is having to change the name to Pop Passion Star Martini because one woman said that how is she doesn't want to have to explain to her children what a porn star martini is. Well, for starters, how are you going to have to explain that to your 10-year-old child or whatever old? I think she said younger than that. How are you going to have to explain it if it's in the adult section of the shop where they're buying booze, unless you've bought a load of them and you have to explain why you pissed out your face swinging around the fucking kitchen. Trying to explain the drinks, the name of the drinks on the that you've been drinking. So it's down to you, isn't it? It's not for you to explain what's on every shelf at Marks and Spencer's, for fuck's sake. So she's caused this complaint and they're having to change the name. So 99 out of 100 people wouldn't give a flying fuck and would actually be in there and would probably buy it on the back of that because they like drinking them in the bars. But no, this Mary Whitehouse type woman doesn't want her daughter to know that she's into porn star martinis, so she wants a different name. Well. Nick Cave said he was surprised when his girlfriend PJ Harvey told him it was all over between them. He said he was that shocked he almost dropped his syringe. He's quite funny, isn't he, Nick Cave? He's basically a recovered drug addict and typical. He's still. The good thing is that a typical person who was extremely creative through drugs. But now apparently he doesn't do any, and he's still bringing out lots of different artistic kind of work. And I just like that because he said that he almost dropped his syringe. He was that fucking, probably couldn't get his head around it for a while. He said he was like, suspected that his drugs problem might have had something to do with it. And he still had a certain amount of work to do on his understanding of the concept of monogamy. So even that phrase there was artistic in its form because it took me a while to work out what he was actually saying, but very artistic, poetic way of saying that he used to shag about, I guess. But yeah, I like Nick Cave. I always look forward to see what he working on. He's ever changing, you know. Like artists, they don't come out and do the same thing. If he's not doing a film, he's writing films. He's wrote some films. I have to mention him another time. What was that film? Oh, bollocks. Film with Tom Hardy and then Lawless. Is it Lawless? With the bootleggers in America. With, anyway, with Gary Oldman's in it and a few others, but really good film. I think he wrote that. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe he did. So, anyway, I'm going to finish up on this. Speaking of another artistic soul, is... A dad saw a silhouette of Freddie Mercury in his pork chop. A dad pigged out on Queen's Freddie Mercury after the singer's face appeared on a pork chop. Derek Sims, 47, was stunned to see the legendary frontman's features while cooking dinner with his wife. Now, again, I'm going to show you the picture to the video, not to the podcast, obviously. A podcast, if you can imagine a blur on a fucking pork chop that looks like nothing. It just looks like a bit of fat on a pork chop. You know, you could slightly resemble a moustache there or whatever. It looks nothing like Freddie Mercury anyway, all I'm saying. He said he called his wife over, Donna, and she said instantly, "That's Freddie Mercury." And he's gone on to say they stood marvelling. These people don't get out very fucking often, I'll tell you that. He stood there marvelling for a few minutes on Bank Holiday Monday before he scoffed it. So he didn't think it was that much of a, reincarnation that he thought he ought to keep it and show it to, I don't know, whoever might want to see that. Engineer, or sell it. Could have sold that in Bonham's memorabilia sale, the Freddie Mercury pork chop. Engineer Derek of Blackpool said, "I've never seen anything like it. I've cooked a lot of things and lived a lot of years, but I've never seen my food resemble a celebrity." Well, I can honestly say I've never seen your food resemble a celebrity because it fucking don't. So there you go. That's what we're going to finish up on. Somebody's very mediocre life that they will get very, very excited about. Freddie Mercury's appearance on their pork chop. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Going to see you again tomorrow. Adios. Bye.